record, my name is Sharon Durkin, Boston City Councilor for District 8, and I am the chair of Boston's City Council Committee on Boston's COVID-19 recovery. Today is October 7th, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.covid19@boston.gov and will be made part of the public record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. Individuals can be called in the order in which they are signed up and have 2 minutes to testify. If you are interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our Central Staff Liaison, Karishma, at karishma.chouhan@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket 1385, a hearing regarding a grant from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. This matter was referred to committee on September 18th, 2024. Today, I am joined by my colleagues in order of arrival, Councillor Ed Flynn, Councillor Aaron Murphy, and Councillor Henry Santana. Thank you to all who have joined us for an important discussion on the final distribution of the remaining ARPA funds totaling $7 million. This funding will allow us to further our efforts in preventing displacement, expanding affordable housing, supporting our small businesses. The Acquisition Opportunity Fund is creating long-term affordable units, and the support for first-time home buyers is helping residents achieve stability and security. Additionally, the SPACE program has proven to be a lifeline for small businesses, particularly those owned by women and people of color. Businesses like Danny's Queer Bar, Pink Carrot, and Bold Skin Babe, all in District 8, have successfully utilized the SPACE grant program to grow and thrive. As we listen to members of the administration speak in greater detail about this appropriation, I will be especially interested to hear about updates on the obligation timeline of funds to make sure that all ARPA resources provided to Boston from the U.S. government will be on a pathway to be fully utilized by the requisite federal deadlines. I'd like to announce that I've also been joined by my colleague, Councillor Liz Braden, and I'd like to now introduce today's panelists by testifying on behalf of the administration. Ashley Grafensberger, Chief Financial Officer; Shagun Aidu, Chief of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion; Kenzie Bach, my predecessor, Administrator of the Boston Housing Authority; Rick Wilson, Director of Administration and Finance for MOH; and I don't see Dan Lesser here yet. Okay, so I don't think he's going to join us. Okay, so if the administration would like to provide, it sounds like you guys have a slide deck, so I'll let first my colleagues in order of arrival give an opening statement. Each colleague will have a minute, starting with Councillor Ed Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the panelists for being here. I want to learn more about where this money is going to. I know the federal fund deadline is coming up. I want to make sure if we do spend it, that it's being spent appropriately. I also want to see a city, state, and federal review of what we spent previously on federal funds. There's no such thing as free money any longer. And I'm concerned about how much money we are spending without any follow-up to ensure that it's spent appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the panel being here. I'm looking forward to understanding how these 3 breakdowns are going to be handled going forward. I know there was a press conference. I unfortunately was the only councillor who was not called by Intergovernmental and invited to be part of that press conference, so I'm here to learn directly from all of you to make sure we understand. And one of the questions, the difference between the $3 million to prevent displacement, but then the second one to further expand pathways. I know that we've had council hearings recently with Sheila Dillon, and she was talking about, what used to be grants are now what used to be loans are now grants. I'm wondering if this is an expansion of that or not. But happy to hear about the expansion of the space grants. I know when we spoke, Sagun, there are many small businesses who are excited that there is still a chance that maybe they could be in this last round. So looking forward to the conversation to make sure I'm part of that before we take a vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Murphy, and I'm really sorry you didn't get a call. I think next time I'll give you a call myself if I hear of anything, so thank you for acknowledging that. Councillor Santana, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for your leadership on this, and thank you for our panelists for being here today. Just excited for this conversation, excited to learn housing should be a priority for all of us. I'm glad to see that this order supports, affordable housing and home ownership, and obviously, our small businesses as well. So, looking forward to this conversation and learning, and again, appreciate your leadership on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Santana. Councillor Liz Braden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to everyone who's here this afternoon. I look forward to further discussion on how this final $7 million are going to be spent. I think we've been very fortunate in Boston that because we rely so heavily on our real estate taxes that in terms of revenue replacement during COVID, we had a lot of money, ARPA money, that was able to be targeted and used to invest in housing and all sorts of really valuable public goods. And I feel that it's been a very responsible stewardship of that money, and I just hope that, in terms of the timelines and expending the monies that we have appropriated, it's all on time, and that we will not have to send any money back to the federal government would be the ideal outcome. So I look forward to the conversation this afternoon, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Councillor Braden. Council President Ruthie Louis-Jean.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the administration. I'm really happy to be here. I've said this before, I'm really proud of the work that this council has done in partnership with the mayor on the ARPA allocations, especially when it comes to issues of making sure everyone has a place to call home. I'm excited by, and whenever we talk to small business owners, they are always saying more money for space grant, more money for that. And so there are always a million different ideas that we all have that we would want to put the ARPA money in. There are ideas that I have that never made it into any of the ARPA funding, and I will continue to advocate for that. But as someone who's a big proponent of our acquisition opportunity program and knows how it can help to stem the tide of speculation that happens in our market, that it helps community land trusts, nonprofit developers compete on the open market, and we know that we have so many proponents here of homeownership, I'm excited about this allocation and to continue the work that we started a few years ago on this council. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council President, and thank you for all of your leadership on housing. It's really appreciated, and even before I was here. So, Councillor Ben Weber, and I'd like to acknowledge we've been joined by Councillor Enrique Pepin.
Thank you, Chair. It's great to be involved in my, I think, first ARPA hearing and be involved at sort of the tail end of this process. I know the city's done a lot of great things with ARPA funds up till now. I think helping small businesses, housing issues, and using ARPA funds to address those is a great use of the funds. I look forward to learning, exactly how we're doing it, and how the ARPA program overall has done, and what we can do, to make sure those funds, get spent in the coming years in the way we've allocated. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Weber. Next, we'll go to Councillor Enrique Pepin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited for this hearing because everyone loves ARPA money, right? It's money that comes into the city that we are able to use for great things, and I think that when we start to focus on issues like housing and supporting our small businesses, that's as crucial as we can get here in the city of Boston. Just in my email, I literally have a whole tab open from all the emails I received from residents, specifically for Rosy Bound Co-op. It's a small store in Rosendale that needs some funding. So people are excited about this, and I'm just very happy that we're having this conversation. Excited to see where the money goes. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Councillor Pepin. Yeah, and I'll just say that it's incredibly important. I think we've all heard recently from future potential space grant recipients of how important it is that we fund the space grant program. I've heard from the hummus shop in Beacon Hill, who had a great application that I supported for space grant funding. And we are being told that without this $1 million of funding, that some of these great applications won't be able to get funded. So with that, I'll open it up to our panel. I know they have a presentation, so I'll let you guys go in whatever order makes sense. So thank you. Chief Graffensberger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilors, thanks so much for having us here. I'm Ashley Graffenberger, Chief Financial Officer for the city. Thanks for having us here today to talk about this very important final accept and expend of ARPA funds. Quick overview from me, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues. So as a reminder, Boston received just over $500 million in ARPA funds, and to date we have accepted and expended a majority of that, 551.7, and so we're here today for the final $7 million accept and expend to allocate that final tranche. Based on hearing from priorities from the council and the community during the budget process and over the last couple of months, the $7 million accept and expend really targets priorities in housing and small business, specifically $3 million for the Acquisition Opportunity Program, $3 million for down payment assistance through the Boston Housing Authority, and $1 million for space grants, which are all programs that have been proven to be successful and have received funds previously. So we're really excited to be here today to talk to you about the plans for this final tranche of ARPA funds going forward, how we are very committed to getting this funding out the door and obligated by the federal deadlines that we have coming up. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues to walk through their respective pieces of this accept and expend.
Thanks, thanks, Ashley. Hi, councilors. Rick Wilson, I'm Director of Administration and Finance of the Mayor's Office of Housing. I'm really excited to be here to talk about AOP and very thankful to the council and to the administration for supporting this program. As you all know, through the AOP, MOH provides funding to responsible developers to purchase occupied rental properties off of the speculative market and convert those units into permanently affordable housing. So this prevents displacement, it preserves tenancies, and it prevents investors from coming in and buying up buildings off the market. We launched the program initially in 2016. Since then, we've allocated $94 million to AOP, including $48.5 million in ARPA funding. In the past, we have also used Inclusionary Development Program revenue, Community Preservation Act revenue, Neighborhood Housing Trust, and CARES Act funds for this program. Again, it's been an extremely successful program since its inception. We've supported the acquisition of 125 buildings and 991 units, including 56 buildings and 332 units with ARPA funding so far just in the past 2 years. We have an extremely strong pipeline for AOP funding. We get calls from developers pretty much every week looking for funding from this program. Sometimes they have buildings that they've already identified that they're trying to purchase. Sometimes they're looking for a commitment of funds so they can go out and find buildings to purchase. We have applications in hand right now, so I'm very confident that we'll be able to obligate this funding by the deadline. And we think with this additional $3 million, if it gets approved, we could support an additional 120 units through the AOP program. So here, this slide, council, is just presenting to you just a breakdown of AOP-funded units by neighborhood. As you can see, they're spread out, across the city in almost every neighborhood. Again, just trying to prevent displacement wherever it's happening and preserve tenancies. And finally, this is the same breakdown of units by neighborhood, but just for ARPA funding only, and again, spread out throughout the city. And with that, again, just thank you, councilors, for your support, for the administration's support for this program. The funding is sorely needed. It's a successful program, and we'll be able to quickly utilize that funding. And with that, I'll turn it over to Administrator Bach.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to announce we've been joined by Councilor Gabriela Coletta Zapata as well. So go ahead, go ahead, Administrator Bach.
Sorry, I'm having the slightly alarming realization that I can no longer read things at that distance. So, all right, here we go. Thank you so much, counselors. Thank you, even better. Really appreciate everyone being here, and really appreciate the support for this program. We call it First Home at BHA. It's the BHA Homebuyers Program, and it's a piggyback on top of other homebuyer mechanisms that the Mayor's Office of Housing manages, but it's been entirely enabled by ARPA, and it's really been a game changer for our residents, both public housing and voucher holder residents. So just as a quick recap to folks, what the program does is it gets $75,000 of down payment assistance for our Boston Housing Authority residents. Just on a technical sense, it's actually $50,000 from kind of the Mayor's Office of Housing programs that are available to first-time home buyers, and then the ARPA funding is actually for just the additional $25,000 on top of that to the BHA residents, which does allow it to stretch further. So we're grateful to the Mayor's Office for their partnership on that. But the other piece is that it's enabled us to have dedicated staffing who work with our residents around home ownership. And they also, again, piggyback on the first-time homebuyer classes that are offered by the city, by MAHA and others, and get access to the One Plus Boston mortgage program, again, a great city program. But the kind of two unique things for BHA buyers, one is this $25,000 additional support. Well, three unique things, because I would say a second is Megan Ryan and her team. She's sitting over there in the corner, our incredible BHA staff for helping navigate folks through. And then the third is this HUD Section 8 to Homeownership program, which is a program that allows folks to use their voucher to pay their mortgage and has hugely expanded the purchasing power of our residents. And it's a program that existed before First Home existed, but we saw almost no members of our resident population using it. So we had about 2 families a year using it for the first 12 years. And now, so that's 24, 25 families over 12 years. And we had more than 50 families use it in the first kind of year and 3 months, a little less than a year and a half of this program existing. So it's just an enormous step change, right? That's like at times many percent increase in how many families have been able to buy. And one of the great things that we've been seeing is that they've been able to buy in the city of Boston, and they've been able to buy almost all not deed restricted, so market homes, right, which enables a huge kind of growth in family equity and has been a huge driver of how this program helps close the racial wealth gap. So you have some of the numbers in front of you. $2 million was allocated for us in the original ARPA allocation. This, as it says, 1.5 spent awarded, but the way that the money gets spent down is with the closings, the financial closings on folks' homes. And so we've already gotten to a point where we have so many participants in the program who have homes under agreement that are closing in the next few months that we had to start waitlisting people for participation because we already knew that we were going to run out of our funds. So we have no doubt that we're running out of our funds from that original $2 million. And that's really where re-upping with this additional 3 is so compelling for us, because it's a program that we really feel like we've gotten running, gotten spinning, is really just having a way bigger impact, I think, with more families being successful than folks had anticipated in such a hot market. And the staffing support, helping navigate this HUD product is incredible, Section 8 to homeownership, but it's very complicated. And it's very complicated how it interacts with mortgages, and so you really need some expertise to help folks. And we've got that, and so it would be a shame not to be able to continue to double down on the success. So this gives you a few more statistics just about the mix of single families versus condos. It's about half and half. There's one multifamily purchase. You can't use Section 8 to homeownership to do that. So we have had a BHA family opt not to do that and just buy the multifamily so they can have the rental income. As you can see, average home purchase price has been about $500,000. The average BHA household participating in the program income is $60,000. So reminder that this is the folks who are on the higher end of BHA participants, but we really see it as just a really critical step for letting them, you know, the BHA, we're really proud to provide that stable housing for folks, but we love the idea of having folks who have been stably housed, who have a great job, who maybe started to make some more income, get to like actually, you know, get that home ownership dream. And then the combined asset value of all the homes purchased to date has been $28 million. So pretty excited about that. And then the clicker. This is just, so continuing, this is what we're aiming to do, expecting to support approximately 60 more BHA households over the next 2 years. Obviously, the end of 2026 is the end of the ARPA spend period. So and in the case of BHA, once money comes to us, it's counted as obligated. So therefore, we just need to expend it by the end of 26. You know, obviously we think this is a very successful program, so someday we may be back to you looking for other non-ARPA money to continue it, but in the short term we think that this is a really, really great way to keep it going. And just the one other thing I would say, and it's slightly re Councillor Murphy's point, is that in terms of estimating exactly how many people we'd serve, we know that this allocation, the ARPA money, will give us that $25,000 a homeowner. The exact way that of MOH's grants versus loans like profile may shift as some of the ARPA money on there winds down. And then the other thing is that when we've seen our buyers also be supported by the Commonwealth, like Commonwealth Dreams and other programs, sometimes they're combining money in different ways where we don't have to provide quite as much. But then if those programs all go away, then like people will need more help. So 60 is our ballpark, but if like all the other sources were really robust to the end of the period, it might be more like 90. But we were trying to kind of hedge just depending on what the overall homeownership landscape. We're really proud that we think the city of Boston is one of the most supportive entities of homeownership, between local, state, and federal, and also of any locality in the country. So, and we're proud that the council decided to put our BHA homeowners first. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Administrator Bach. And I'd like to announce that we've been joined by Councillor Brian Worrell, and I'll let Chief Shagun Idowu take it away. I've also been joined by my colleague, Councillor Fitzgerald. So, Chief Idowu, take it away.
Sure. And forgive me in advance, I'm getting over a head cold, so I might sound, I have my Barry White voice, but also I might be coughing a little bit. So anyway, I apologize. It's almost like we were just here a week ago talking about small business. Great to be back and to talk about the great success, particularly of the SPACE program. And before getting to SPACE, I will just say, since there are some councilors here I did not get to see last week at the liquor license hearing, would love for councilors to hold sessions in their districts so that we can get information about liquor licenses out to all your constituents. So just putting a plug. So all of this is tied together. The support of building more affordable housing is important for insuring customers for small businesses. The support for providing funding for people to be able to become homeowners is important because this is how a lot of small business owners start their small business, drawing equity out of the homes that they own. And then this program, SPACE, has been able to help owners open their new or next location throughout the city, providing up to $200,000. We were just here in August virtually to talk a little bit about how OEOI has spent its ARPA dollars, around $20 million so far. And for this program, we allocated $9 million. Roughly 7.5 has already been dispersed to small business owners, to 61 small business owners, who in turn, as a result of either their opening now or soon to be open, as many are securing leases, will, by the end of this program and full implementation, will have created at least 600 new jobs for Bostonians to fill. Which is exciting. And so I think, and then of course, the other demographics up here in terms of how we've ensured equitable access to these resources, ensuring roughly 75% of those awarded are people of color, or roughly 70% are businesses owned by women. The addition of the $1 million will allow us to add at least 10 more businesses here. And while that may sound like a small number, if anything, if the previous numbers tell us anything, that could be at least around another 100 new jobs, since roughly each business is creating about 10 jobs or so with this support. So we think this is really important for helping to employ Bostonians, but also helping bring some vibrancy and vitality to our different neighborhood squares. Just noting here that all of your districts are impacted, which has been great, in addition to ensuring that more Bostonians from diverse backgrounds are getting access to the money that economic development has had. It's also been important that every single part of the city is touched by this program and all the programs that we have put out. So just showing that for folks here. Finally, our justification for selecting this particular program, we've had many others, Refresh, our scale program related to procurement, and a ton of other programs that have been successful under OEOI, but we're choosing this one in particular just because of the huge impact this program has had, not just on the perception of small business owners of the city, which I think is really important for any of you who are, small business owners yourself or talk a lot with small business owners. Previously, a lot of folks did not want to engage with the city. They didn't think they ever had any chance of ever getting any support. This has helped change perceptions because it's responding immediately to the needs of businesses that they've cited for us, but also noting here our own former councilor, now Congresswoman Presley, in a recent congressional hearing cited space specifically as something that should be a national model for how the rest of the nation should be addressing small business needs, which I think was great for all of us here, showing that Boston continues to lead, but also again I think kind of shows the impact that even she's hearing from her constituents, the importance and the impact of this program. And again, because this program supports all of the districts, all of the neighborhoods, and many various industries. A lot of the other programs that OEOI put out were kind of specific to industries, which has been important. Again, just like the Refresh grant, which is the most recent, is specific for food industries. This grant space is supporting a whole range of industries, which I think is important for anything that we're going to recapitalize. Finally, in addition to being demonstrated success, being a job creator, the fact that multiple industries and neighborhoods are supported, it invests in the future. End of the day, the big success of this program is that it's helping, of course our tagline is giving dreams the space to grow, but it is future focused rather than looking backwards on settling either debts or other obligations that a business may have, which other grant programs have been used to do. I will say, I know that there have been thoughts about other programs that could be developed to use either this million or just ARPA in general to support, but I will say that with the December deadline quickly approaching, for us it just made more sense to obligate this to an existing successful program, because I'm not sure we have the timeline to develop a whole new program to disperse these funds to and obligate these dollars by. So we determined that it was best to support a program where you saw on a previous slide, just in the first two rounds, we had almost 700 applications. I did not add on the third round. That was a huge, I think it was another 300 applications. And so, because we don't know the level of need and with other ideas, it just made more sense to us to capitalize an existing program that has shown true success. So I'll end there, and we appreciate this opportunity to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Chief. And I appreciate the attendance by my colleagues. It shows just how much we care about making sure that every dollar that we can obligate and every dollar that we can use of ARPA funds gets put to use. And I'm really proud of the way that Boston has led other cities. It's night and day. Like, we have really been able to impact those folks who were deeply impacted by the pandemic, impact local businesses that were related. So appreciate all the work that's been done, and I also appreciate Chief Shagun Idawu's point that the goal with the $7 million was to support existing programs that we know work. And I appreciate all the work that was done by my predecessor, then Councillor Bach, now sitting on the panel in front of me, Administrator Bach. So thank you so much for all of your work. And I appreciate, I'm going to be using Chair Worrell's, Chair of Ways and Means clock for this, so I want to make sure that that we have a chance for everyone to ask the questions. We're going to do 5 minutes for each person because we have such a full house, but we'll have the opportunity for there to be a second round of questions. I do want to kick this off with a key question that I think everyone has. Does the administration have a more accurate, up-to-date value for the amount obligated in totality since the last federal filing, which showed over $406 million has been obligated as of June 30th? And if the administration can't share that information at this time, and we have to wait until October 31st to gain visibility on the updated obligated amount, I think just to table set, how confident is the administration that 100% of the ARPA funds will be obligated by December 31st, 2024 deadline? I think that's core to everyone's questioning, but also want to acknowledge that what's on the table today is the $7 million, but I can't, as I learned, I can't tell my colleagues how to spend their 5 minutes. So whatever you guys want to ask, please ask your questions. I just did want to table set with that sort of overarching question that I know a lot of folks have.
Great, thank you for that question. So we have preliminary numbers. Things are still subject to change as we do some of the final cleanup, but I think when we were here with you just over a month ago, we shared that there was approximately $145 million that was to be obligated. Since then, that number has come down by $26 million, so we have just about $119 million to be obligated. So kind of you can see how quickly things can change in the course of a month as these things get in, funds get into contract and things get out the door. So we are making great progress. We have a team of people that are dedicated to checking in with departments on a very regular basis to ensure that funds are moving on the timeline that they need to move. We're checking in constantly. And some of the folks that are here represent some of the largest program managers of the funds to be obligated. So we can certainly answer some questions about that. We can reshare some of the materials we shared about a month ago that talks about the plans, but we feel very confident that we will get these funds obligated in time by the end of the year. Like you, we also do not want to waste a dime, so we're doing everything we can and feel really confident that we'll meet those obligations.
Thank you so much. And I do want to table set as well. So today, the $7 million that we're discussing that we've heard from, I think people can feel free to ask whatever questions they want to ask about ARPA funds, but did want to just create space that we have an existing filing that is in the COVID-19 Recovery Committee where I can host a working session on all of ARPA funds. So what my plan today is to try to get to a place where we all feel comfortable with this $7 million. And then if my colleagues are interested in having additional conversations in more of a small group conversation around questions that we may have, I want to make sure that I'm providing space for my colleagues to get those questions answered. But just flagging that we can continue to have those conversations after the $7 million is allocated. And that's, as chair, my plan is to make sure with this hearing that everyone feels comfortable and that we also create room for the other conversations that my colleagues want to have. So just wanted to share that. And then next we'll go to who was first here. Thank you so much, Councillor Flynn. Go ahead. And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillor Block, or I should say Administrator Block, for the AOP units by neighborhood, South Boston had 1.5%. Why is that?
So I'll pass it over to Rick because the AOP is managed by the Mayor's Office of Housing. But
Rick, what do you say?
Yeah, so the way AOP works is that we have an RFP for AOP funding that's out. It's been rolling. It's been up since 2016. Posted on our website. We share it. We make sure that developers and both nonprofit and for-profit are aware of the opportunity for funding through that program. We don't allocate funding by neighborhood or anything like that. People have to apply for
Yeah, but Rick,
funding.
it's 1.5%. Why is it so low?
Councilor, believe that would mean that there's haven't been any opportunities, that developers haven't taken opportunity of the funding in that district. We certainly would welcome and we would love your help to make sure that developers are aware of the funding and take advantage of the program. It certainly are, we want to make sure that we're covering every neighborhood and preventing displacement and speculation in every neighborhood.
You didn't cover South Boston. Thank you, Rick. Chief, it's good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Chief, the space program. District 2 is low. Why is that?
Let's take a look. Well, it's in line with other districts that are on here, Councilor, and I think actually similar to what Rick just said, we cannot tell space grantees where to go. They indicate which neighborhood they want to be in, and we help them through lease negotiation support with lawyers to work out the best deal for them. As you know, I think, South Boston and other parts of your district have incredibly high rents, and so a lot of folks choose to go to other neighborhoods where they can negotiate a lower deal.
Okay. Chief, for the chair, could I get a list of all businesses that received a grant through the space program?
Yes, it's publicly available, but I can get you that by the end of the hearing. I'll have my policy director print that out.
Okay, thank you. Rick, on this program here, the housing program, these are grants. These aren't loans. Is that correct?
No, they're loans. They're deferred loans. So these are, you're talking about for
first
AOP?
home.
First home, the home buyer program. No, the home buyer program has been grants for the past few years.
They're grants.
We made that change,
Is there deed restrictions on those?
No, there's not.
So you could get a $75,000 down payment for a house with some assistance from the city. And how long do you have to keep that home for before you sell it?
So through the city's program, there's no requirement on keeping that property for any amount of time. I'm not the expert here. I don't know if
so the $75,000, once you buy the home, you could, in theory, sell the home. Is that what you're saying?
You could with the city's funding, yeah. I do believe that most of the buyers get financing from other programs that do come with other requirements, but I can. Is that
reasonable to spend taxpayer money, $75,000 down payment, and then give them the opportunity to sell the home immediately? Is that reasonable? It's a question.
Yeah. And I think it's a valid question. It's something that we discussed at the time when the ARPA funding came in, and we wanted to make sure that we maximize the use of this funding and helped as many people as possible. One of the main issues we're trying to solve, we have a program that does affordable housing, home ownership development for deed-restricted homes to help people get into subsidized units. And then this program, our first-time homebuyer program, is really to help people gain access to market rate properties and gain equity and to try to adjust the racial wealth gap. So that was one of the reasons
there's no such thing as free money, though, in my opinion. This is taxpayer money. So we're giving someone a grant for a down payment that they're able to buy a home so that they can support their family, but then that home does not become doesn't stay on the market for working class families through a deed restriction.
So I think, Councillor, if I can address it, because we do also think about this on the BHA side, I think that, with when we're creating affordable units, it makes sense. The city's spending an enormous amount per unit in that instance, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and that's really part of why the deed restriction has been there, because to your point, it's like, what's the public interest? You want to create that housing for the long term. Comparatively, the $75,000 is actually a much smaller per person thing, but the truth is that if our residents were buying in the open market as they are, right? Because most of these BHA homeowners, they bought in the open market. If they were buying on the open market and we were instantly slapping a deed restriction on their house, we'd actually be depressing the value of the asset down below what the mortgage had been written for. So we'd be in a strange situation where we were putting them underwater. So I think given the way that mortgage financing and appraisals work, it actually makes sense in that instance not to attach a restriction.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, Administrator. And next we'll go to Councillor Erin Murphy. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. First, Chief, about the space grants, we're going to stick with, because you already have more than enough great applicants to go from. Will these new round of recipients, winners, get the same full amount that the previous ones have, or are you trying to expand it more, give less? Like, what's the plan there?
Well, you know, people have gotten a range of 50 to 200,000. So it honestly is depending on the strength of the application and what they requested and what we think would be helpful for them.
And who makes that decision?
So there's an internal committee that makes that decision cross-department.
Across your department?
Excuse me, across different departments across the city. Yeah.
Okay. Could, through the chair, could we get a list? That'd be interesting just to see who sits on that.
Sure.
Awesome. That'd be helpful. Yeah. Thank you. On the AOP, when we talk about spending this $3 million and it will increase, you know, give a certain amount of units. Do we know which projects already? Do we already know which ones we're going to approve? Because you gave a very specific number of units, or are you just making a guess about?
Yeah, the number of units was based on a projection. Like I said, we have a number of applications in hand for funding right now. So I'm not prepared to tell you which projects, and I'm not sure that we would want to, because these are out. These are market rate. They're on the market right now. We don't want to do anything.
Yeah, just wondering, did you know, or you're still in the process of knowing?
I think there's a few that this funding could go to, but yes.
And similar to the question to the chief, could I also find out, like, who makes those final decisions? Like, who sits at that table to decide which projects do get approved?
Sure, yes.
That'd be great, yeah.
Happy to provide that, yeah.
Thank you. And Kenzie, you get a question too. When I divided 25,000 by 3 million, I got 120, but you're saying there'll be about 60. So because the 75 comes from the other 50,000 that we already know came from first-time home buyer or other, like, first-generation immigrants, other mayor's office of housing money. And is that 50 combined with the 25 for the ARPA, all of it? So loans, grants, is it? Yeah.
So I think that the BHA has seen it be important for our home buyers to have a certain amount in grants, right? Because just in terms of, like, you know, you're already taking out a big loan on the house. Obviously, the Section 8 certificate's very helpful for writing that, but there's just only so much like in loans that people can kind of have, and also that they feel comfortable having. And so I think what we've tried to anticipate some flexibility where we, like right now today, we're only providing 25,000 of grant on our side out of this ARPA money, because the city's money is 50,000 in grants. And then, like I told you, we've seen Commonwealth Builders and some of the, not Commonwealth Builders, Mass Dreams, is that what it's called? Mass Dreams, yeah, providing, like, you know, 25, 50 in some cases too. So there's been a bunch of different kind of combos. But what we're imagining is that there could be a world where some of those programs go in a loans direction, and then we're trying to use some of the money to make more of it a grant up to that 75, if that makes sense.
So there's a possibility that some recipients, which is a very small number, I mean 60 people, they literally won the lottery, that they could get more than 25. They could get up to even 50, in addition to the other programs.
Well, no, this would be in a situation, the only way that we would up our grant number is if the other programs were lowering their grant number. So it's more
get them to a 75, and
yeah,
if you need to kick in more, but then that means
that would
less
mean
people get to get this. Yeah.
So our best case scenario, counselor, is that 120. Like, it's that, like, everything keeps going the way it's been going, and we're able to just put in the 25 and keep. But we don't want to come to you with the number of 120 with a whole bunch of other programs we don't control, and then come back and say, oh, it was actually lower because of that.
So to play it safe and to make sure they have at least 75.
Exactly, because we've seen a lot. What we've been so encouraged by is that, frankly, I think when we put this program together, people still thought that the market in Boston was so crazy, especially since our buyers are not cash buyers. So you have to get folks who are willing to wait for all the, like, sign-offs on the HUD docs and the one mortgage program and everything. So we honestly were not sure people were going to close these transactions, and then they really have. Like, it's been moving at this real clip, but we've seen that down payment assistance be really vital there. So I think from the BHA perspective, we want to make sure that we have plans for the program to continue to be successful that way, kind of regardless of how the surrounding context shifts.
And one quick thing about the vouchers. What if, and hopefully it is true, that you qualify for a voucher, you're using it to pay your mortgage, but you've, got a raise, like you grew in your career, and this is the whole thing about generational wealth. We're teaching people, about all of what happens then. What if they no longer qualify? Like, are we prepared to then support that they may have not be able to keep up with their mortgage payment?
So what we feel good about with that, it's a great question, Counselor, is that what's interesting about the voucher is that doesn't happen to people all at once, because remember that they're, on a voucher in general, right, they're responsible for paying up to a third of their income in rent. So what will tend to happen is, as somebody gets towards the voucher program cutoff, they're already paying more and more themselves, and the HAP number is, we call it HAP, it's the Housing Assistance Payment from the feds, is declining. So it's like, if you were doing better and better, you might be getting to a place where the feds were only kicking in a couple $100s a month to your mortgage, and then eventually, yeah, you'd go off, but it would be because you had gotten up to that level. So we think that when we've modeled it out with folks, we feel like there's enough of a gradualism that it isn't one of those like cliff effect
And
dynamics.
that's an annual salary
Thank you,
check?
Counselor. Sorry,
Yeah, it's an
you're a
annual
little
recertification.
No, good, I got my answers. Yep, thank you.
Henry Santana.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you for our panelists for being here. And thank you for my colleagues for having good questions. I think my questions are, just got answered, a few of them, so thank you for that. Administrator Brock, I do have a couple of these like more basic, high-level questions. It's just in terms, you were just talking about the vouchers. Can you just talk about, people who have a Boston Housing Authority apartment right now or house, and the process of getting into a voucher, and then determining how much a voucher is worth. Can you just talk about that process?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Counselor. So basically, the way that it works right now is that so Boston Housing, public housing, or voucher residents who are interested in the First Home program you can go to bostonhousing.org/firsthome and find out about the qualification details, and then reach out to the program. And the first check is always like, do people sort of meet the basic qualifications? Because we're dealing with lenders and HUD products and everything, there are still minimums in terms of income and credit rating and such that the BHA doesn't control that are part of the kind of overall cutoff. So the first thing that our staff will work with folks on is, do you meet those criteria? If you meet those criteria and you're a good candidate for searching for a home, then you'll start working with our staff. You'll be in the program, and we have something in our sort of administrative plan that allows us to take a public housing searcher who meets all those criteria and is searching, and move them over to a voucher in order to have them be on the Section 8 to home ownership program. But you have to have already cleared a bunch of the hurdles of the program. It's not like you just get a voucher and then maybe you'll use it for home ownership. You have to be really like on that path to buying a house, because as you know, the rules and waitlist stuff around the voucher program is quite strict, and so we've written a specific pathway into the administrative plan, but you have to be engaged in the program. So if anyone's watching it from home, the first thing I would say is to go read about First Home and reach out and start checking those criteria. And one of the things that we're excited about, knock on wood, if the council does support this accept and expend, is that we've kind of had to recently been sort of waitlisting people in the program, because we just haven't been able to tell people that we'll have the down payment assistance for them, because everybody who's already hunting and who's actually found homes and has them under agreement has already used it all up. So we're excited, if you guys vote for this, to be able to go back to saying yes to more of our folks.
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And I have just one more question for Chief Grafenberger. With ARPA funds just coming to an end here, how's the City of Boston approaching, these critical programs? These are just, very important programs that are helping, again, our most vulnerable families and residents here in the City of Boston. How is, at a high level, how is the City of Boston approaching, the ends of these funds and, trying to continue some of these programs?
Thank you, Councillor. Great question. There's no doubt that this $500 million went toward really great transformative programs that have been super successful. It will be challenging for the city to maintain all of that, right? So we're going to have to be looking at these programs really carefully as part of this upcoming budget process. Clearly, there are several programs that have had great success, I think many people would like to see continued. So I think it'll just be a balancing act in this upcoming budget to balance available funds, sort of what the city is legally able to allocate general operating dollars toward, as well as just availability of funds in competition with sort of all of the other things that we need to fund. So I would suspect that's going to be the next couple of years something we're coming to you all to talk about as part of the budget process, but certainly a lot of really great investments, and I think many things that the city would like to continue, but will just be a trade-off discussion between what we're able to do.
Great. No, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I just neglected to answer one little part of his question.
Go ahead.
Which was just that on the voucher calculation, the way that it works is that there's a calculator that looks at what the payment standard is in the zip code that somebody's purchasing in, and then basically it'll tell them what's the maximum the voucher can pay, and then basically the normal bank calculations for how much mortgage they'll support that are just based on your income then instead become based on your income but supplemented by the voucher. And so it means that folks get approval letters, those pre-approval letters that folks have to try to buy a house, they get a much higher number on the pre-approval letter. So we've seen folks go from having on their own income a approval for a $250,000 mortgage, which is probably at best going to let you buy a $300-something dollar home, to $500,000, right? So it's the voucher in certain circumstances and it depends. It's hard because it depends on the zip code, the person's income, but it can really increase the purchasing power, and that's why so many of the BHA families have been able to buy market rate houses.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Administrator Bach, and thank you again, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to go to Councillor Liz Braden. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to swing back to the Acquisition Opportunity Programme. I know we had a hearing, I think it was 2 weeks ago? We talked about the acquisition of the Blue Line portfolio in East Boston and 131 units. This seems to be get us a lot of bang for our buck in terms of we couldn't build these units for the amount of money we're buying them for. Could you get into more details on how really incredibly useful this is as a tool?
Yes, Councillor, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the most cost-effective tool we have to create affordable housing units in Boston. Of course, we're not adding new units. These are existing buildings that are being purchased, but they're going from unrestricted buildings that are on the market, potentially being bought, at risk of being bought by speculators and investors, and we're taking those units off the speculative market. When they're occupied, we're preserving the tenancies of the people that live there, and then when they turn over, when those occupants move on, those units stay restricted in perpetuity, permanently. So it's a hugely cost-effective program. I don't know off the top of my head what the difference in cost is from using AOP versus purchasing a new unit, but it's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit we're talking about difference.
I think that's correct, yeah. In terms of the future of the program, I know this $3 million will go some way, but it's still quite a modest sum. I think, we're in a market where there's a lot of speculative investment. There's a lot of private equity buying up homes left, right, and centre. 20% of the homes that were sold in Massachusetts last year were bought by private equity. So a program like this is huge, is really incredibly important. In terms of future funding, what's the pathway? This is something we should really be investing in.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I know Chief Dillon couldn't agree more as well. Yeah, it's I think it was a big blow when the property transfer fee has not passed at the state level. I guess it's technically still there, but I think we were disappointed that didn't pass at the end of the session. We really were hoping on that to come in and fill in some of the revenue that we're losing from ARPA. We have, as I presented in my slide, we will likely be applying for Community Preservation Act funding for AOP, potentially looking at the Neighborhood Housing Trust to fund AOP. And looking at any other sources we have. Inclusionary Development Program revenue has been declining as more units are being built on-site or off-site and fewer contributions are being made into the fund, and that's an intentional, we're doing that intentionally because we want units to be included in the buildings. So yeah, it is. We're definitely concerned, but we are committed to this program, and we're going to do whatever we can to find resources to support it.
Very good, thank you. And just looking, we've got plenty of time left. In terms of the units by neighbourhood, I know we have acquired spaces like Warren Hall and different things, and I don't know whether that was purchased through or assisted through AOP or whatever. Is it possible to get a breakdown by neighbourhood of where it all lands? I know the percentages are valuable, but
sure. Yeah, you mean like the actual you want projects?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
we're happy to provide that. Council.
And we're always, I think, all of us should be on the lookout for other potential projects to flag for you folks in our neighbourhoods, our respective neighbourhoods, because sometimes you don't know about these things. Cash buyers don't hang around very long. They come in and snatch up those possible projects very quickly, those possible units.
Yeah.
And then the home, we had the pleasure of joining a homeowner who bought one of the BHA homes a few weeks ago. In terms of the success of this program, do you find that any of your buyers it's a really solid support system for them? Are there bumps in the road that they encounter that are not unanticipated, or is it how do you, if you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is where the unsung heroes of the program are our staff. I pointed to Megan Ryan a moment ago, and I will again. But Tessa, who works for her, and well, I'm going to ask them what I need names. Khalees and Chloe, yeah. So we've got an incredible, it's this wonderful team, and they're really working with folks because, I think anybody on the council or who's watching at home who's bought a home knows it's not a simple process in the normal circumstance, and when you add on the complexities of, One Plus Boston is a really exciting, best-in-class mortgage program, but it has a bunch of criteria, and then you add Section 8 to homeownership, and that HUD program has a bunch of very technical criteria. It's a lot to wade through, so I think that we found that having folks in-house to work with our home buyers is essential. I would also say that Megan has really led our team in advocating to HUD to kind of break down some of the barriers and just try to have a more streamlined program. And I feel like we've had some good receptiveness to that advocacy. There's a lot further to go on that, and some of it's regulatory, which always makes it harder to change. The other thing is I think working with lenders has been really important. So the same way that more lenders have participated in One Plus Boston as they've started to understand it better, and also frankly, as counselors and others have asked lenders to participate. I think the same thing with Section 8 to homeownership, having the lenders understand the voucher and how it works, and the fact that it can be used to underwrite can sometimes be an educational process, and it's definitely been one where the staff, I don't think that if we just put the down payment assistance in, even though that's most of where the money goes, we wouldn't have had the success that we've had. It's been that down payment assistance plus the team. And
it's been a spectacular increase in the number of homes that people have been able to buy as well, so congratulations on that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. And now we're going to go to Council President Ruth C. Louisiane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo a lot of the questions that have been asked by my colleagues, and want to echo Councillor Braden's enthusiasm and understanding of the importance of AOP. I think it's one of the best programs we have here in the city. I also want us to figure out how we can put more money into AOP. We have an outstanding hearing on this. I think Councillor Braden is a co-sponsor along with Councillor Santana, because it's harder to build that unit than it is to preserve it. And so whatever it is that we can do, I know that transfer fee wasn't, we're still waiting to see if that's possible, but whatever we can do as the council, that's a big priority of mine, and I know it's a priority of a lot of my colleagues, so no questions, just that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council President. Next, we'll go to Councillor Enrique Pepin.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. First, I'd just like to start by thanking you all for that presentation. That was very helpful. Again, I'm very glad that these resources are going to housing and small businesses. It makes a lot of sense. And I guess one question that I have in regards to the housing perspective is, we know that $3 million are going for the acquisition of market rate properties. Do we know, where do we usually get these units from? Who are we reaching out to figure out which ones we want to purchase?
Yeah, I mean, we have relationships with, obviously, our team has relationships with developers all over the city. Some of our biggest partners in the AOP program have been CDCs like NOAA and East Boston CDC. I'm not the best person to speak to this, but we are working with a number of small local MWBE developers as well. Norfolk Design and Construction is one that's been participating in AOP. So we are very committed to making sure that it's not just the usual players who are familiar with our affordable housing development, but we're also bringing in smaller local developers. AOP has been actually, we have seen developers go from AOP developers where they're buying units and then they're moving on to actually building and constructing affordable housing through us as well. So again, it's been a hugely successful program, not just for the occupants and the tenants, but also for the developers as an entry point into affordable housing development in Boston, which has been fantastic.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what is your definition of affordable? Do you guys break it down by the AMI of the neighborhoods?
There are affordability requirements in AOP. I do not know what they are off the top of my head, but I can get that for you, Councilor.
Okay, that'll be great. Other than that, I look forward to voting in support of this because it's where my priorities lie and it's what I want to see more in the city of Boston. So that's it for me in regards to questions.
Thank you so much, Councilor Pepen. Next, we're going to go to Councilor Coletta Zapata. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for your work. It's great to see you all here to brag about the work that's already taken place within ARPA. Councilor Braden basically stole my question, so thank you. But we'll underscore the importance of the AOP program just as a cost-effective way to prevent displacement, which is really disproportionately impacting my district, so thank you for that. I think I have 2 questions. My notes are all over the place, but first question is to you, Chief Idwou. Thank you again for your work on the space grant. What I had found in trying to help recent or new business owners try to find a space in East Boston, we are not in a position where there are many vacant storefronts. And so what is happening is that there's mixed-use development that's popping up, and ground floor retail is too expensive and out of reach for some of these newer folks. And so we're getting national chains like Taco Bell coming in a Latino and Central American neighborhood because they're the only ones that can afford it. And so as an example, I have a small business that's looking into that space, that wants to get into that space. It wasn't retrofitted for a local restaurant, but it was retrofitted for a Taco Bell because on the national market, that's what that's who the highest bidder was. And so I was talking to the developer and I was saying, hey, we have these space grants, these folks could come in, that's guaranteed money for you, at least to retrofit that space. And he said it was too little too late, they'd already been in conversation, they made the space, they outfitted the space for Taco Bell, and he was saying that if I had gotten notice that a business was getting a space grant, I would have reconsidered. And so I'm trying to operationalize that in terms of conversations with developers as folks are coming in and building more. I want them to lease to local businesses and local residents. I understand that they have to have a signed lease for the next year. I mean, can you talk through if there's been any conversations about being a little bit lenient with that and trying to get folks, if there is a developer or an owner of a certain building that is willing to work with the city and a local business by getting the space grant to help close the gap a little bit, what that might look like on the city side. Do they have to have a signed lease, or is there going to be a little bit more leniency in that respect?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question. I was getting lonely. No, just kidding. In the first round of the program, we did not require a signed lease, but as the December deadline is approaching, we started requiring that in the second, well, really in the third round, because we want to get the money obligated by the end of the year. And if you don't have a signed lease, there is lower confidence, although we are sure that someone could get something signed, but because, you know, there's vacancies all across the city, but that doesn't mean that it's the right fit for you. And so, you know, I think a little leniency was granted in the second round, but in this third round, we wanted to make that a requirement to make sure that you were going to get the money. And, you know, a lot of these, it could have been a lease or a letter of intent, and the letters of intent were based on whether or not this business was going to get a space grant. So unfortunately, we do have some examples, well, not too many, but a couple that I can think of off the top of my head where there was an attempt to work something out, but it was conditional on a business being awarded a space grant. Business didn't get it, and so those negotiations ceased, which is fine. No one was upset about it, but just to say that, that's the reason we put that requirement. However, I will say, not to take up all your time, but to say that there are other things we do to provide support. So even if someone is not getting the check from the city, we have multiple relationships with different lenders across the city, but also again the technical assistance that we're providing around legal support, et cetera, to work out a deal for the business is crucially important, because if you don't know what triple net is, which is what most of our leases are, right, then you might be entering into an agreement that really is not great for you. So we have attorneys on hand that are helping people understand what all those things are, but then also working to lower what otherwise might have been taking advantage of some of our small businesses.
I appreciate your answer, thank you, and providing a little bit more clarity. When businesses come to me now, I'll be able to point to you all and just say there's technical assistance while you might not have a space grant. But I appreciate, again, your answer on that. In my 13 seconds, I'll get one more question out, and it's just a general question, although it might be to you, Ashley. We have so many different priorities in the city of Boston: climate, mobility, infrastructure, all of that. I guess, what was the guiding principle to allocating money directly to affordable housing, or to, I guess, these specific programs?
Thank you. That's a really great question. So I'd say it was twofold. Number one, it was just around general priorities, right? We had just been coming off the budget process. We heard a lot from the council, community, that housing and small business were kind of top of mind for everyone. So that guided our thinking. And secondly, we're racing against that obligation date. And so these were 3 programs that we knew if we put additional funding into, not only would it satisfy some of the key priorities that folks have, but we knew that they would spend it in time. So those are kind of the 2 principles we used when allocating the $7 million to these 3 programs.
Thank you so much, Councillor Coletta Zapata, and thank you so much, Chief. Next, we'll go to Councillor Ben Weber.
Thank you, Chair. And again, thank you for your thoughtful answers to all these questions. And I think all these programs are great and good use of ARPA funds. I guess Administrator Bach. So for housing using Section 8 vouchers, I guess what kind of outreach are we doing? For people, like, for example, at the Mildred Haley Apartments, or, is there anything planned? What's happened before? What can we do in the future?
Maybe I might ask one of my colleagues to step up, just because I wasn't here when the very first outreach for the First Home program happened. But I think what I would say is, like, we did when the council first appropriated the money, we did some initial kind of broader brush outreach, and then I think the word of mouth has really taken off. The other thing is that we've had to kind of balance between the fact that we want to get the word out to everybody, but also, you still need to make these credit check and income minimums, so it isn't a fit for everybody. So we're trying to both spread the word and not get everybody's hopes up if they might not be able to. But maybe Megan wants to say a little more.
Sure. Yeah, pertaining to outreach of our program, we, word of mouth really spread. The first was from the Mayor's Press event back in 2022. So that really, we got within a couple hundred applications just from the publicity through the city. But a lot of our relationship building with lenders, so even if our tenants don't come through us first, they go to a lender. The lenders, we train them to make sure, hey, if you work with a BHA tenant, make sure that, they also check our program. One of the biggest changes we made is making sure information was available on our website. I believe we might be the only housing authority in the country that you can apply to Section 8 homeownership on our online application. So that is a huge difference. Accessibility was key. But a lot of one-on-one time with clients. We do office hours workshops. We've done all different types of formats to make sure that tenants are aware of the program offerings.
Okay, so I guess, do we feel like enough people are aware of the program, or have we planned any extra outreach? with this additional money?
We have a lot of tenants that are aware. The bigger challenge is our staffing capacity. In an ideal world, I would love, the BHA, right, in total services over 26,000 households, 16,000 voucher holders. And we're a team of, 1.2.5 is like, I'm about to go on leave. And so that's really our challenge, is actually staffing capacity. We have more than enough applicants. We've had over 500 applications in less than 2 years. So the word has really gotten out there, but we'd love to have more staffing.
And just to jump in, I think now that if we're able to secure this additional funding, we will kind of think about what's our outreach plan for the next 2 years to spend the money down. And I did just want to answer your question on outreach at public housing development, specifically Mildred Haley, for example. Because we're in a shortfall year, we don't have any new vouchers to issue right now. And so Mildred Haley residents would be able to take advantage of the $75K in down payment assistance, but not the Section 8 homeownership conversion right now. And so when vouchers become available again, we'll be sure to reach out to those constituents and other public housing residents.
Okay, thank you. I had a question on AOP. I guess when we help somebody purchase the units, like what does that look like? Are we giving them like 10%? What? Obviously they're not relying on this money entirely.
That's right. With AOP, we actually, with a normal affordable housing development project, the city's subsidy is a fraction of the total cost. With AOP, it does tend to be a bigger fraction of the total cost of the acquisition, but we have per unit caps that we set for when we provide this funding. I want to say it's $150,000 a unit, the developers apply to us for funding. We evaluate the proposal, make sure it's financially feasible, and make sure that they have a good plan in place to rehab the property and make sure that the tenants are being protected. That's required in our loan documents and mortgages and covenants. And then we underwrite, make sure it's always gap financing whenever we want to provide more than we have to. We're always the funder of last resort, and then they can get up to a certain dollar value per unit that's being acquired.
Okay, and maybe that addresses my next question. We heard from Councillor Flynn talking about, there's only 1.5% in South Boston, and there's some in Chinatown. I represent Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, and neither of those are listed. I would take 1.5%. So what's the explanation there?
We don't, certainly more expensive neighborhoods in the city, it's harder to make deals pencil out, right? The bigger the subsidy is required. So I'm sure that's part of it, but I think it's having development partners, it's having the opportunities in those neighborhoods. We value any partnership that we can have with your office and with your partners in the community to make sure that the developers are aware of the opportunities, that we are aware when buildings are on the market. Obviously, we ourselves are looking at buildings in the market. We will contact developers in every district, every neighborhood in the city to make sure that they know when we are aware of a building that's for sale. It may not be financially feasible in every case, and I think there are certain neighborhoods where speculators are more aggressive. They're willing to put up, to pay over asking price, over appraised values, and so we're limited in what we can do with that regard. This is why the program is so important, is that we are helping these mission-oriented developers compete with cash buyers, investors, speculators who are willing to drive the market up. And sometimes our partners can't compete, but we try to help them as much as we can with this funding.
Okay, yeah, I would just comment is I know people in Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, you find it really hard to stay there, and part of that's because of the high cost of living, and they could certainly use help like this. I know the need is there, so thanks.
Yeah, we yes, agree.
Thank you so much, Counselor. And obviously, given the statistics, I feel for you as well. But part of AOP, it's like acquisition opportunity. We need to have that opportunity to acquire something. And I know in District 8, we're trying to make things happen as much as we possibly can. but we have unique circumstances and unique opportunities that are based on the housing stock and the buildings that are available and up for grabs. So, but I feel for you, and I know we're all trying to make things happen in our communities and in our neighborhoods. But we often, as district councilors, are so deep in the weeds. We know which buildings are going for sale. We can be very involved in these opportunities. But given that we have to do it by the end of the year, you know, I know we've got some things going. I won't talk about it on the council floor. We've got some things going in District 8 that hopefully happen. So, Councilor Fitzgerald, thank you for your patience. You have 5 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. Hi, everybody. How are you? Good. It says here the Acquisition Opportunity Program provides funding to responsible developers. Is there any, is there a definition of what is a responsible developer? Is there any parameters that they must set, or is it just sort of kind of by a historic nature of how folks have done in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think that gets to the evaluation process. So when a developer applies to us for funding, you know, there are some that are more well known to us, and we know their history, and we know their capacity, and we know what their, you know, what their mission is. And there are some, like I said, we brought in some new developers that we had to learn about, and we had to, you know, evaluate them and make sure that they have responsibility, can refer to their, you know, financial capacity and their ability, you know, do they have access to, you know, capital, and have they demonstrated that they have both, you know, acquired property, developed property, rehab property. We want to make sure that they have the requisite experience. We don't want to provide funding to a developer who's, you know, not going to be able to, you know, close on the sale and do the necessary rehab and keep the property maintained. So that's what we talk about when we talk about responsible. It's not, you know, I mean, obviously we have evaluation criteria when we underwrite these projects and evaluate these projects. We have evaluation criteria that speak to their responsibility and ability to carry out the project and own it and operate it as an affordable housing project.
Gotcha. Thanks, Rick. Can the AOP acquire buildings other than rental? Because I know, for instance, in Upham's Corner, when there were a couple of banks that came online and they were doing a quick fire sale, we were looking to try and create a vehicle that could purchase those quickly, and we found a workaround through it. But is this only for residential market rate rental buildings only?
Up until now, it has been. There may have been one project that we did that was ownership. I can't remember. I know we have started having those conversations. Literally right now, we're having those conversations around whether this is a model that could also work for ownership as well. Again, you know, we obviously with you know, not unlimited funding, we need to make sure we utilize our funding wisely. But as it is a cost-effective way to create affordable rental units, I think it could also be an affordable way to create a cost-effective way to create affordable homeownership units as well.
But even the buildings themselves prior to purchase, do they have to be market rate? It says to purchase. It says the developers to purchase occupied market rate rental buildings, right? So I'm thinking that reads to me you can only purchase if it is currently a market rate rental building. Is there a way to purchase an abandoned industrial building and turn it into market rate rental?
Right. So we have. So there is. I mean, I think the AOP is for rent, is for housing, is to acquire existing rental buildings. We have partnered. We did a partnership with CDAC, which is a kind of a quasi-state nonprofit development funder, and we did a partnership with them to do what you're talking about, which is to acquire underutilized, vacant commercial buildings, or any building really, it could be commercial, to convert to affordable housing. So that would be a different program. That wouldn't be AOP, but we certainly are interested in helping out in those situations as well.
No, thank you. And just doing the math, I know these next two questions are sort of, I know it's not, I don't take it as, I'll just ask the questions, you'll get what I'm saying. But the $3 million would support 120 additional units. That breaks down to, maybe I didn't do my math correctly, but like,
I should know this.
25,000 a unit or something like that? Does that make sense?
No, it's that's on my calculator.
No, I know, right? That's not, I didn't do the math right, but, or about
we're all doing this together. We can do it right now.
Yeah, let's all just figure out just
something's not
$3 million will support approximately 120 additional units.
I think that must be a typo, because now that I'm doing the math, that does work out to $25,000 a unit, which is not correct. So it would be a smaller number. Thank you for finding that.
No problem. Because I was like, what can you buy for $25,000?
No, I will.
What unit out there is $25,000? Either build or construct, right?
I have a feeling that what I did was when we did the math, it was the other way around. It should have been it's $120,000 on average per unit out of the $3 million. That probably makes more sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Nope. Thank you, because that threw me up. And maybe the next one, the $75,000 to build 60 more houses. This is for BHA. I'm sorry. So now we're on to the. But it says that the $75,000 per household, right? Is that what the loan that we give out?
So it's $75,000 a household in the down payment assistance, but that's actually been a breakdown of $50,000 from the Mayor's Office of Housing and $25,000 from the supplemental BHA grant. So it's, as we were discussing with Councilor Murphy, if you just took all $3 million and just turned it into $25,000 grants, you'd be talking about 120 families. But the combination of us potentially having to make up for some of the other loan programs reducing, and then in order to still get our families to that 75 number, and then also some of the staffing capacity and other things that helps fund. That's why we've put 60 as a very conservative number. We're hopeful that it'll be more like 80 to 90 families with that amount of money.
I get you. But and I know I'm just doing the direct math, but $75,000 to support 60 more households, that would be $4.5 million. Right, but we've
only had the $25,000 to cover to date, but we think it's possible just because of the overall, like both state and MOH homeownership funds have been also supported by ARPA, which are starting to disappear. So we think it's possible that to hold steady at $75,000, the BHA program might have to spend more than the $25,000 a household.
Gotcha.
As they reduce, if that makes sense.
All right, that's all. Just saying, thank you very much, all.
Thank you so much, Councillor Fitzgerald. Council President Louis-Jean, do you have another question?
I don't believe I have any additional questions. I just want to state again on AOP that there are some properties that I know that in the past were up for discussion. Fairlawn Apartments in Mattapan, also known as SOMA, but Fairlawn Apartments. I don't know where the discussion has been in terms of helping the acquisition. I think that there's a potential that that's going to go for private sale, and we already see right now that they're trying to insert holdover clauses into leases, making it really difficult for the residents in Fairlawn to stay there. So this is just particularly about Fairlawn. I don't know where the discussions are with AOP or the city assisting, but those residents in Mattapan who fought for that commuter rail stop to be there, the Blue Avenue stop, for transit-rich options are now really facing the risk of being pushed out. And I think the Fairlawn Apartments, I know would be a hefty sum, but that is a property that I would love to see the city intervene in what the market is doing there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much I should say in a public forum, but I can say that Chief Dillon is aware and working on that, is in communication with the owner. We are hopeful that, I would say we are more than hopeful. I think we are cautiously optimistic that we will be able to help get the outcome that you desire using ARPA funding by the end of this year.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure Chief Dillon would love your help in making that happen.
I haven't touched base with, I've been talking to all the residents, and we touched base about this probably 6 months ago or so, but I haven't followed up. But I'm just very, very, for so many reasons, happy to hear that.
And I'll just say, Councillor, that we also have a number of BHA mobile voucher holders who live in that property. So we're also very interested in, we also hear from that constituency and are very interested in a solution there.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for your advocacy, Council President Louis-Jean. Next, Ben Weber, Councillor Weber, do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, just quickly, thank you very much. Chief Shagun, on the space grant, so if this money's allocated or appropriated, are there going to be more applications, or this is just to handle previously filed applications?
He needs his mic.
There we go. All right. So each previous round, there were about $3 to $4 million expended per round. We only had 1.5 left for this third round. So this extra $1 million will help us, for those who apply for this third round, to potentially get access to funding.
Okay, and then I guess we talked about AOP, the percentage in my district for space grant is we'd love to have more, and that could be because it's the property values are high, or do you think it's are there fewer applications? Or can you help me explain to my constituents what's going on?
Sure. Actually, I'm grateful that you asked that question because it gives me an opportunity to address the previous time it was asked. And I think, in the previous round, I think it may have been missed that 15% of these, and this is just for the first 2 rounds of folks, have not identified a space to move. So, I have to express my appreciation to various counselors who, in between hearings, reach out to our office to support small business owners. And so I think that 15% gives an opportunity for folks to help us identify a space that we can suggest to the grantees. Again, like I said, we don't tell people where they should go. Business owners indicate on the application where they might be interested in going, and then we have a site selection tool where people will look and see what are the rents, what's open, et cetera, and then we provide all the other technical assistance. But I will say, for those in the first 2 rounds that are looking, and then for the 3rd round, which we'll be announcing shortly after a decision is made by the council on the remaining $7 million, we invite all councilors to reach out who want more folks in their districts to help us identify a space that we can steer folks toward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Councillor Weber. And just sharing on my end, in District 8, even though we might not have gotten the same percentage as everyone else, the businesses that have gotten this money have very much appreciated it. And a lot of the businesses that have been supported are coming from D1 to D8 or they're essentially using this money to expand and grow and thrive and have bigger spaces. We have already heard, as the COVID-19 recovery chair, we've already heard from small businesses that are eager to get this round funded because they know that they're up for a grant if the money is available. So I'm hoping to move this money as soon as possible with my colleagues' support. And I think that just having received these emails from small business owners, it's so clear how much they rely on opportunities like these to be able to plant roots. And I think knowing what a lot of these business owners have already been through to identify the space, to get to apply for these grants, they've already had to do a lot of due diligence. They've had to create a business plan. They've had to go through all sorts of hoops. So I think getting this money and getting them their answers as soon as possible is very much of interest to me as the COVID-19 recovery chair. So I'm hoping to move forward with this $7 million for these individual projects and to continue to fund what we know works and what we know has been effective from these ARPA resources as soon as possible. So I hope to bring this forward at the next council meeting. We know that this will need to be done by the end of October. So I think, of some of the questions that we've received from my colleagues, we've already gotten some of them their answers just during this hearing. So if anyone has any questions about which space grants have happened in their district, I just want to give a shout out to Aaliyah Forrest, who does such an incredible job communicating with business owners, communicating with our offices, and she's been so responsive even just during this hearing, getting people the questions that they're asking. So if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to share them with me and I'll get you an answer. I know we have one person who would like to testify, so I want to release the panel, given that everyone has gotten their questions answered, unless any last questions? Okay. So you guys are all relieved. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all that you do for the city. So next we'll hear, you have 2 minutes, Talia White, if you want to come to the podium. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Talia White. I'm a worker owner and board president of Rising Bound Co-op. We're a hybrid cooperative bookstore in Rosendale that opened its brick and mortar storefront January 2023. We're the only cooperative bookstore in Massachusetts and one of the few bookstores that emphasizes books by historically marginalized authors. We were notified by Emily Patrick at the city's Office of Economic Development on September 18th that Rosie Bound was among the 10 finalists to receive $100,000 from the final round of the SPACE grant. These grants are designed to help out small businesses with a priority for industries most affected by COVID-19, including retail. Unfortunately, Ms. Patrick told us that the city ran out of money to pay the finalists. The finalists could only receive this grant if the city council allocated $1 million from ARPA by October 31st. If the allocation doesn't happen by the end of the month, none of the finalists will receive any money. When the call for applications was put out last April, I took on the massive endeavor of being the primary application writer for this grant. Small business owners usually don't have a lot of time to do things like this, but I knew that getting a SPACE grant could be a game changer for Rosie Bound. I spent many hours putting our application together during my spare time without pay. The application required me to update our 15-page business plan, get 2 years of financial statements, and 2 letters of recommendations from trusted community members. Although I don't know much about how city government works, I was shocked and dismayed that we may not get the money after doing all of this work and getting this close to winning. I'm also attending this public hearing without pay. Supporting small businesses is part of the COVID recovery strategy. States and cities received a great deal of funding during COVID, and the opportunity to use those funds will soon be gone. Supporting small businesses is one way that those funds were to be used. The purposes of the grant include supporting arts and culture in the community, promoting economic stabilization for small businesses, and supporting small businesses through grants. Rosie Bound is committed to being an integral part of Rosendale's vibrant community, and we enjoy being an engaging space for book lovers. We're a small staff of 4, but we have hosted over 50 author talks, book signings, poetry readings, and other events in Roslindale, Hyde Park, Mattapan, Jamaica Plain, and West Roxbury since Rosie Bound opened. I also have over 20 years of small business experience, so we're confident that we would use the ARPA funds in the spirit with which they were intended. Since we moved to 739 South Street last year, our 200 square foot space has allowed for the expansion of book and sideline inventory, but we have needs that will help Rosie Bound thrive in the future. Receiving the SPACE grant would help stabilize our finances, create more efficiencies in our operations, and expand our offerings to the community. Our long-term sustainability goal is to get a bigger space and buy a building one day. We would also like to expand our brand into other parts of the city and partner with other businesses. And as you may know, our front window was smashed last February, damaging some of our inventory. This incident highlighted the need to improve security in the store. All the staff are women who usually work alone in the store, including at night, and we need to purchase a better security camera system for our protection, and getting the SPACE grant would help with this purchase. We also had
I think we're about at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but I just want to, I know we have your letter on the record, and I think my colleagues have it. Talia, I just wanted to thank you for personalizing the experience of what it takes to apply for a grant, what it takes to do all of that work. And it is clear to me from hearing your testimony and also hearing from a business that is coming into Charles Street, the hummus shop, that this experience that you've had and how hard it is to get to this point and to get to the point of applying for this grant just shows the need for us to move quickly. So I'm really grateful for your testimony today, and I'm grateful for and interested in that shared experience that we're seeing in all of Boston for this last group of finalists. And I'm grateful for your testimony today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I think we've heard today about the AOP program, the down payment and assistance program, and what we're looking to do for the space grants for small business. I'm looking forward to moving this docket forward at the first possible moment now that we've had this hearing. I did want to tell my colleagues too, we will have other opportunities to talk about other questions around ARPA with the end of the year, given that we have 2 filings happening at the same time. But this docket, 1385, is adjourned. Thank you.